This is me, it's Queen Haru, and I'm coming to you with another exciting edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Now, I received a message from a woman named Asia in the comments. She asked me this question twice, and I was like, all right, let me try to work on this. She said she's an Aquarius, her father is a Leo, and she wants to know, what do you do about a lying Leo? Now, I Googled it, I read some things in my books, and I saw that Leos have the tendency to get accused of lying, the negative ones anyway. And basically it was saying that they lie because they like to be seen, they're entertainers, they embellish stories, you know, they're that kind of energy. And I just wanted to say that this is a very simple question to answer because it doesn't matter what your sun sign are. A lot of people are liars. A lot of negative people are liars, period. So you deal with liars exactly the same way. Either you deal with them or you don't. And this is her father. So my thing is that if you're not going to deal with him and you're going to just, you know, cut him off or keep a distance from him and deal with him sometimes, that's like one of the options you have, is to deal with him from a distance, as I call it. Sometimes you have to do that with people that you love, especially like your family members or, you know, like your, you know, mostly his family or friends or exes, things like that. Sometimes you have to just love them from a distance. So if your father is constantly lying, telling stories, embellishing things, you just got to make a decision. Do you want him in your life or not? Because he's not going to change. That's the bottom line. The lying is not going to stop. So do you want to A, love him from a distance, or B, do you want to be in his life and go back and forth with him constantly and call him on his lying all the time? And for me, I wouldn't do B. I wouldn't have a liar in my life and spend all my time of any sign. I wouldn't have a liar of any sign in my life and spend all my time arguing with them, going back and forth, pointing out their lies. I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't do it. If it was me, I would love him from a distance. He's your father. You know, that love is not going to go anywhere. But you don't have to put up with his bad behavior, is my point. So when you say to me, what do I do about a lying Leo? You make a decision. You make a decision that you either want him in your life or you don't want him in your life. And if you want him in his life as he is, because remember, he's probably not going to change, then you need to decide to love him from a distance. There are a lot of people I love from a distance. I live in Costa Rica. I love most people from a distance now that I think about it. And some of them I spend more time with around than others. Some people I mail cards here and there. Some people I mail a postcard. Some people I call on special occasions. You know, and this is, like I said, family, friends, whatever. If it's a person who is problematic, but you still love them, you know, you still want to keep them in your life, then that's what I mean by from a distance. You know, maybe you need to see him once a year at Christmas or on his birthday. You know, like, it's different ways of doing it. You have to decide that part of it. But you have to decide on that. Do you want him in your life or not? And if you do want to keep this person in your life, then I would strongly suggest loving him from a distance. I would see him at Christmas. I would see him on his birthday, maybe even my birthday, and that would be it. You know, because like I said before, the lying, the treachery, all that kind of stuff, that stuff don't stop unless the person goes through a change. They want to change themselves. Like, I'm not saying a liar can't change, because a liar can change. A liar can change. Anybody can change, really. It's just them having the desire and the will to do so. So if he doesn't have the desire and he doesn't have the will, he's not going to change. So he's going to keep lying. You're going to keep being mad about it. And it's going to just continue to be a cycle. So like I said, if it was me, I would love him from a distance. I would see him as infrequently as possible. I would more than likely move as far away from him as possible. You know, a lot of times just proximity can help you. You know, if you're living in the same state with somebody who's problematic, just move into a different state. can be very helpful. So look at those things. You might need to just put some distance, physical distance, emotional distance between you and your father. A lot of people, when it's their parent, they feel bad or they feel guilty about not being in their life. But some of us have toxic parents. And that's just the bottom line. Some of us have extremely toxic parents that we are not able to work things out with, that we're not able to have a good balance with, at least not right now. Because sometimes later on you're able to do it and sometimes not. You never know about life, I was reading a story about a man, and the man was saying that his mother was abusive his whole life. She had bipolar disorder. So she was abusive towards him and his siblings his whole life. He grew up hating his mother, hating being around her. And now he's in his 40s, and they've gone to therapy. She's on her medicine, and they have managed to bridge their gap, and they've managed to heal as much as possible. They've healed the past. So now he's able to have a relationship with her, and it's a good one. So you never know exactly what's going to happen, but for a while he had to separate from her. He went to college in another state and got himself some help and got himself together. And while he was gone and her kids had all grown up, because she had 4 kids, she was able to then get herself some help. And that's how they were able to work things out later, because they both independently went and got help. So some of the times these things will work out and some of the times they won't. But putting some distance between the two of you would be a good start. So the bottom line is, Asia, you have to decide what you want to do. You have to decide how you want this person to show up in your life or not. Because sometimes the person, like I said, will work out in that case. And sometimes it's never going to work out. I knew somebody whose father was on drugs. And he was abusive. He would steal from her. He would come at her house. The last time he came over, he inappropriately touched one of her daughters. And she was like, but he's my father. And I'm like, if he's trying to do things to your daughter, he's stealing from you, he's doing these things, you have no choice but to protect your family. And that's what ended up happening. Her husband threatened him at gunpoint and they never saw him again. So, of course, she loved her father. Of course, she wanted to be in his life. But he was a threat. He was a nuisance at that point. And now he's criminally liable. I would have got him arrested personally, but she didn't want to do that. So her husband threatened him and he never came back around again. They never saw him again. And that was like 11 or 12 years ago. So my thing is that just because it's your parent doesn't always make it okay. It doesn't always work out. Sometimes they're not healthy enough to be in your life, and you just have to accept that. So, Asia, you have a couple different answers going on here. You have to take the one that resonates with you. In my life, my parents have always been difficult. My mother is very difficult. My father was very difficult. My father was an Aquarius. So he was very difficult. He was very likable, though. I liked him a lot. But he was just irresponsible. My dad was on drugs. My dad went off and did whatever he wanted to do with himself. He did not take care of his family. He didn't even take care of himself, And my mother does take care, of all of us, but she has a very difficult personality, probably from all the heartache and hurt that she's been through. And me and her just never really had a great relationship. So I've had to learn to love them from a distance. My father died, and our relationship was never really great, but it was like I came to terms with him. I forgave him. I did the best I could with it. And that's what happens with our parents. Our parents are not always people that are able to be in our lives, not strongly. I used to always be jealous because my cousins had such a great relationship with their mom. She would come over to the house and spend the night. She would come over and cook and clean up. They could call her and talk to her. She wouldn't tell their business. I used to be so jealous, but everybody doesn't get that kind of parent. And on the flip side, my cousin's, her mom was very active in her life, but she really couldn't do much for her. She didn't have very much money. She really couldn't help her with college, things along those lines. And my mom did put us through great schools and things like that and helped us a lot financially. So it's like, it's the luck of the draw, right? You got to appreciate what you get. And some of the times you're not able to have a relationship with that person that you want to have. And you have to do the best you can with it. And that's all you can do. You got to do the best you can for yourself and for the situation. What keeps you emotionally safe, And I would pray on it. That's another thing I would tell you, is to pray on your relationship with him. Pray on him. Pray on his behavior. And that's the best you can do. Okay? See you later.